I find this conversation to be incredibly interesting. There is someone that showed how commercials used to look like 20 years ago. And for the new generation, and a lot of people in the chat, they're considering this to be pornography. I don't know why. It's a fully clothed woman on national TV. This is what your parents lived with. This is what exists in Eastern Europe. I mean, the concept of eye candy, like something attractive that gets people's attention, is so ingrained in humanity that companies realize, okay, we can use this to sell a product. Now, the issue is that sometimes in America, mental illness fostered in the academia, and you have professors with tenure that manage to say their horseshit while being unquestioned. And they believe that America, yes, not the Congo, America lives under a rape culture. And this is caused because of these commercials. So there was a push to fight against the male gaze. And all the commercials were now replaced with inclusivity. So you have like morbidly obese people, unhealthy people, skin disease, like anything like that is put in commercials. And this is demonized. Right? Like everything is promoting LGBT acceptance, or you can have TV shows where you can see big fat cocks, like in Game of Thrones, in the House of the Dragon, they show like actual penises on TV. And this is the new normal. Like any type of heteronormative thought, any type of thing that would get a straight man to appreciate his own sexuality is considered demonic and evil. And everything else is promoted. Now, what's interesting in this conversation is that you will see actual right-wingers that hate this. Like they vilify this. And again, if you do that, then you must like the status quo. Like, you must like what you see on television because, like, I'm sorry, you don't have your perfect world. You can either choose what we have now, or you can choose something else that people will embrace. But, like, you will not just have companies not advertising. And if your ideology is against human sexuality, like, I'm sorry, it's an anti-humanist ideology. I don't care if it's left-wing. I don't care if it's right-wing. I don't care if it's religious. If you genuinely think that showing a beautiful woman that's fully clothed, again, like, that's the emphasis, fully clothed on television, if you think that is too much, you need to question your ideology. You don't need to question the television. So let's look at the type of contents that we see. Some of them are interesting. For instance, this person is saying, this is literally the sort of shit conservatives argued against, and now it's somehow anti-woke. You people are such oblivious morons. So you can see, like, this, which got 7.8 million views, is insanely controversial. Like, people are extremely emotional over this. They would dedicate their time to scream at random strangers on the internet instead of just, like, having a normal conversation and a discussion about it. But it's not true. It's not all conservatives that were against this. Like, first and foremost, it's an Anglospheric thing to be this level of prudish. But second of all, it was a very small fringe group, and it was usually like soccer moms that were complaining about this, like the beer dads that used to like football commercials and stuff. Like, they wouldn't complain. But it was usually like 45-year-old ladies, you know, that didn't like it. And they were like, oh my goodness, oh, it's obscene. Because they viewed it as competition, right? It's like, who would look at them if this is what's on TV? Which, again, it's a wrong way of approaching things. Because at the end of the day, even if there is an actress that plays these, it's still fiction, right? Like, you're not going to have the woman in the television. And people had their expectations to, then it's like, yeah, they're hiring superstars. Like, from 350 million people, they're hiring like the best looking women. Obviously, it's not the type of women you would usually see on the street, and obviously it's used to sell a product. But it is an interesting talking point. So were conservatives against these type of commercials? I have done my best to look for old articles and to even try and find examples from the 90s, the early 2000s, even 2010, to see if conservatives were against this. And I couldn't find a single case where conservatives would be horrified by a fully clothed woman in a commercial. Ever. Like, that just doesn't exist. In the era of American Pie, in the era of Beavis and Butthead and the slasher films, I have never heard of any conservative be against this type of thing. Now, what they were against was sex in movies, especially the one that was random. Like all of a sudden you have two people having sex for no reason at all. So they would be a little bit upset about that. But it wasn't as proeminent as them being upset about violence. Like that was their number one thing. So most conservatives were absolutely livid about any type of violence in fiction. Like they would consider that if someone watches slasher films, that they're a person that's unhinged, because why would you want to see that? Like, why would you want to see a movie with a killer that's stabbing people? What the fuck is wrong with you? Only a psychopath enjoys watching this. Like, those were the conservative talking points back in the day. And it went even worse. It's like, why would you play GTA? Like, what type of person wants to play as a bad guy, killing cops? Like, that is horrible. You must be a person that's ready to snap, unhinged. Like, look, this serial killer was caught and he was playing GTA, and this mass shooter was caught and he was playing video games. So therefore, video games are satanic. That was like the conversations. They had the same arguments with heavy metal. And they were also really upset about language that was being used in commercials, right? So like there was a case where A Million Moms, yes, that was an organization. A Million Moms was upset that someone used the word damn in a commercial. It's damn licking good, right? So they actually protested and started writing concerned letters. But that was like what they were focused on. So violence and language, as well as sex scenes in movies. But no one cared if you showed a fully clothed girl, even if she had like big titties. That absolutely no one would be upset. I mean, if you think about it, World War II pilots had similar imagery drawn on their planes. And the military would use recruitment ads with sexy ladies, usually cartoon ladies and stuff. But no, like this type of content wouldn't have a problem. Like Baywatch, I've not heard anyone complain about it. Commercials, though. I mean, these are people that would go to a football game and they would see cheerleaders. Like none of this would have been considered beyond the pale. It is considered beyond the pale now because the culture is so away from heteronormativity. And there are people from the new generation that, for them, I guess, like, this must look like hardcore pornography, even though, again, ladies fully clothed, like, there's no issue. But then you have right-wingers from our generation, right? Not the ones from the old ones, which are like, oh, this enables women to be like whores. And I think, like, the only place where you can find this mentality is probably in the Middle East, where you need to put a burqa on every single woman in order to protect men from lustful thoughts. I mean, even in the Roman Empire, right? Like, he would probably go to the person that was chiseling the statue of Venus. It's like, what are you doing? Brother, this is sinful, you know? Not to mention, like, I generally don't understand, like, no one is forcing you to watch television, right? But the most interesting thing is that he is against degeneracy, but he is showing memes from The Boys. And The Boys is exactly what we're talking about. Like, in The Boys, you get to see penises, which are not censored, they're not pixelated or anything like that. You actually get to see a superhero shrink himself down and enter the pee hole of another superhero. So like, for some reason, okay, we're going to use memes from that, and we're going to promote that show, but a commercial that was aired on national television and everyone see it and no one had the problem with it, no, that's disturbing, right? That is degenerate, and you need to log off. Imagine buying a product because women who will never know you, never heard about you, don't care about you. Yeah, it's called buying a super jet. You know, like, the reality that I noticed with a lot of people from the Anglosphere, or at least this mentality, is they fail to understand that the human is not perfect. The human being has addictions. Everyone has addictions. Either you're addicted to food, or you're going to be addicted to social interactions, or you're addicted to substances, or you're addicted to alcohol, right? Now all of our addictions are different. So, for instance, you may have a person that's addicted to alcohol and another person that's addicted to food. And they just don't understand each other. It's like, how can you just gorge yourself like that? How can you keep eating until you're unhealthy? Like, you're a morbidly obese manifestation. You're going to end up in a hospital and you still eat. I just don't understand you. And the other person is like, oh, well, you're addicted to alcohol. Like, how can you drink so much? Don't you see that you're hurting your family? You're spending all the money on booze, and you're coming home, you're embarrassing yourself, and you're embarrassing the ones around you. And then you have people addicted to social media, like probably this guy, changing the world by tweeting. Like, how much time are you spending on social media? How much time you could spend doing something else? Like, you can always nitpick, and you can always find problems with other people. But the thing is, moralizing strangers and people who have no respect for you because you're just some letters on their screen makes you look like, not just like an asshole, but makes people have contempt for you and for whatever you represent. Because if I see a person like this, I would be like, you know what? Maybe we need more Muslims. Maybe we need Islam. Because at the end of the day, it will make this person suffer. I will still get what this person wants. Like, I will still get the world where there's no lust, and there's nothing on TV that can be titillating, and every woman is going to have to wear a burqa. So we're still getting the result. But I want this person to suffer. And he should be a martyr. Like, he should actually want that to happen because he is getting closer to his dream. Because if he wants to take something away from me that I care about, then it's only fair that I take something away from him that he cares about, so that we receive some balance. Like, why should he be on top of me? Who placed him there? Why should this person think that they should have the right to take from others? No, it's going to be a mutual exchange. You take something from me, I take something from you, and then we're both unhappy. And then people will only do it is if it's something that they genuinely believe in. Like, if you genuinely, unironically believe that lust shouldn't exist, well, then you're going to have to make compromises. You're going to be like, you know what? Let's get Islam. And surely the world is going to be a better place. All jokes aside, though, there are people that think like this. Like, there are people that if you stand in the way of the things they like, and you're not related to them, you don't know them, you have no connection with them, you just want to impose your will on them, they're going to have contempt for you. And then they're going to do exactly the opposite of what you want. It's like, oh, how much is this person upsetting me? Well, he's being a cheeky little shit on the internet. Okay, what is he? A right wing. Okay, I'll support the left then. Seriously, like, this is why a lot of people were voting left-leaning. It's like all these right-wingers and their parents were attacking all their hobbies. It's like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons is evil. Stop playing that. Oh, heavy metal is evil. Stop listening to that. Oh, video games are bad. Stop playing. It's like, oh, you know what? Go fuck yourself. How about I vote for left-leaning government? How about that? And now people are enjoying. And there's probably going to be another backlash, and there's going to be people voting right-wing because the leftists are now demoralizing, right? But my point is that, going back to this, right, this is unacceptable now. And people watching this are absolutely bewildered. But 20 years ago, this was the norm. I wonder if we're ever going to go back to that. Here in Eastern Europe, we're still here. Like, I still turn on the television. This is the type of articles I see. This is the news presenters. This is the type of shows that we get to watch. It's normal here. But apparently it's pathological in the West. And it's supported both by left-leaning and some right-leaning extremists. Because it's not all of them. Like, even left-leaning people don't mind seeing a beautiful woman. The people singing music. But I just want to point out how demoralized the new generation is, to the point where I remember there was a calendar released, and you also had like fully clothed women looking like this, and I think it was the Matt Walshes or like someone else from the conservative movement that was absolutely abhorred. They were like, oh my god, no, we don't stand for this. No, we're conservatives, we don't stand. It's like, okay, well then stand with the status quo, because I don't see you do any job in fighting against it. So stand with, what is it, body type A, body type B, skin cellulitis, skin disease, like all the other, morbidly obesity, like that's what you stand with. It is what it is. Like, you gotta give people an alternative if you want them to fight, because like something will be there, and it's probably not going to be what you want because you're fringe. It's going to be what the overwhelming amount of people want. So unless you give the overwhelming amount of people something they like, well, you're just going to have to stay with the way things are. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.